Oh, there it is.
What's up, everyone? We're live. It's Azor Ahype here, and I'm joined by a very lovely guest. I say lovely because he's hiding some lovely hair under the hat. It's Lycan Studios, another content creator in the YouTube community. Lycan, what's going on, my man?
How's it going, man? Thank you so much for having me. I'm pretty excited about being here. I'm not gonna lie, I can't stop smiling.
Yeah, man. We've been chatting. We've been chatting for like 40 minutes, everyone. We've been chatting about Fortnite and the new Lord of the Rings show that's going to be coming out in the future, and obviously Game of Thrones, because we're both Game of Thrones junkies. But today, this stream it's going to be fun. We're going to take some questions from the live chat. Of course, we're going to get to know Logan, Wolverine, a little bit, and we're gonna talk about the prequels, Game of Thrones season 8, and for anyone that comes in, like I said, we're gonna try to get some questions in for you. But let's do some shout outs here, Logan. We got Shark Vader's in the chat, Livia, Joseph. You want to read out some names, my man?
Yeah, give me one second. I'm trying to pull my window up.
You're trying to pull the chat up, doesn't have it open.
Lagging behind a little bit. All right, we got Robert, Michael, Forrest, Mama. They're just pouring in, man, pouring in. Broke Black Man. Gotta love some of these names.
Nicola. We got Michael Smith from Australia. Australia, mate. Anime lover. Living my Rhapsody.
Oh, there she is. Or he. I'm not too sure. I think it's okay.
No, it's just she. You're good. You're good.
Yeah,
to
okay,
go.
that's
I always have the same thing. I'm like, yeah. And then I've done it a couple of times where I've shamed myself.
Right.
But we do know that there's some other streams on right now. There's going to be some other people joining us in this a little bit, but thank you for everyone that is here right now. William Rice, so happy that you get to join the stream, man. It's been a while. But Lycan, Logan, tell us a little bit about how you got into Game of Thrones, man.
Oh, man. So, Game of Thrones is just one of those shows that absolutely blew up. Well, I kind of go against the grain sometimes. So, like, all my friends will be talking about it. I kind of did the same thing with, like, Breaking Bad and shows like that. I didn't really get into it right away. And I can't really watch shows that aren't finished yet. So like I really I don't know, I killed myself on this one, man, just trying to wait for these last seasons to come out. But I didn't start watching it till season 6 was over. Binge watched seasons 1 through 6 in probably like a week. I mean, and I was in nursing school, so like it was probably not smart. My grades may have took a little bit of a dive, but yeah, man, like I binge watched it. I remember like sitting up at night. The Red Wedding came on, and like it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was halfway falling asleep, dude. I ended up watching like 6 more episodes that night. It was nuts, dude. So that was like the episode that really just like it hooked me. But
you know, it's crazy for me. I ended up getting stood up for a date. Funny, I told people this a couple times. On like a Friday night, I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? And I hadn't watched Game of Thrones yet. I watched the full season from start to finish. So I love Ned Stark and lost him in the same season. I was like, yo,
dude, that sucks.
That's an arrow to the knee. If anyone's ever played Skyrim, this, but it was tight. It was tight. I'm like, yo, but it's crazy to hear how, like, that's crazy. You got in at season 6. That's amazing.
Yeah, dude. I was late. I was really late, but luckily, like none of my friends really like told me what was going on. I was always like, I'm probably gonna watch a show. You guys just don't talk about it around me. And they were nice enough to do it. Knock on wood, because not a lot of people were like that. I'm surprised it didn't get ruined, but. Yeah, dude.
It is hard too, man. Like staying away from the hype too. Like since you got into it so late. I mean, like people trying to spoil the Red Wedding or something like that. Like that was an internet phenomenon, right?
Exactly. I know. Like it kind of makes me like I still need to go back and finish the books. Just so you guys know, I haven't really read all the books yet. I'm trying to make myself do it, but at the same time, I'm like I want them all to be out. But yeah, like just not reading the books, not knowing that the Red Wedding was coming, like, oh man, it got me good. Like it got me really good.
We got some other regulars in here. We have Talamasca Dan. He hates Sansa, so we always hashtag Sansa forever in the chat. We have Jon Snow, the Jon Snow cosplayer, Smokahontas. We have Gemma in the chat now, which is awesome. And like I said, some more will be joining after. I know a bunch of people are in. It was History of Westeros was at 5 with Lucifer Means Lightbringer, and then In Deep Geek at 6 o'clock. So I know there's some people that are here.
Right, there's
but you see Talamasca in the chat now. Ever since you see, we're gonna have to time Talamasca out. Just joking, don't time him out. Okay, so really though, what was the big moment for you other than the Red Wedding that really got you into the show? Was it the Direwolves? Was it the White Walkers in the first episode? Was it Ned Stark?
Ooh, that is a very good question. What really hooked me? Probably just how like it doesn't slow down really. Like you don't really have a down season. It seems like thinking about it, it's just always constantly changing. Something's always happening. Probably when they killed Ned Stark, I was like, all right, this show means business. I was like, shit, Sean Bean dies once again. That sucks. But yeah, dude, probably when he died. That's when I was like, okay, stuff's about to get real. Cause I kind of knew in the back of my head, I was like, all right, the North is not going to forget that. So what exactly is going to go down? So that was probably the moment.
Yeah, when Ned Stark first died, obviously, like I binged watched all 10 episodes in a night. So I've been up I've been up to like 10 in the morning, like from midnight, just like binging these episodes. Like I don't know how many bags of chips or pizza, whatever I went through, but
right,
it was just like a travesty for me, man. I was like, yo, Ned Stark is gone, and then obviously feelings of, wow, I need the next season right now, right now.
So like you just watched like the whole first season, and the second season wasn't out yet.
Yeah, exactly. So
man,
I watched it 2 months after it came out. So then
it's so tough, dude.
And then July, I think that it was that July that A Dance with Dragons came out. So I had bought all the books, and I was like, okay. And then I read them all in like a month. I was super obsessed. And now I'm here doing this,
waiting on season 8.
Like, right?
Sure. Yeah, dude. Like I don't know how like all of you guys have been watching this since like the beginning. Like, how are you doing this every single time? Like, I realize this is a little bit more of a wait for season 8, but God, this would destroy me, dude. Like, I'm having a hard time waiting until April right now, let alone doing this 7 other times.
I know, and that's the thing too. Is like, I mean, the extended waits that we've had the past couple of times. Like, we had the extended wait for season 7, then we have the extended wait for season 8. So it's getting harder.
Yeah, dude.
Obviously, to endure these, but we know that we only got one more, and that the quality is going to be a thing, right? We need to make sure that, you know, we're getting we're getting all the proper story told, and that we're getting the best special effects too.
Exactly. Like it has to be top notch for sure. As long as they're making us wait, it has to be.
So we have on the Wall of Hype. I've updated it. I told Logan about this. We have the Patreon Hall of Hype. All the $20 members and above get on there. John St. Baptiste, Karen Richmond, PJ Ice and Fire, Karen Johnson. So there's 2 Karens up there. I love you, Karen. Mr. Skillen, Jonathan, Aaron Habig, Katrin, and Helen. So thank you. Hall of Hype is updated, and we got some spots up there just in case the chat does get a little bit hype after. But okay, so there was some crazy. We got a couple questions here. We are going to get into some news after, but we got to address these questions, man.
Let's do it.
We have James, whose Tywasog Dreg. Gosh, it's like Gaelic. I can't pronounce that. He said, Kyle, Jon is now Lord Snow. As he bent the knee to Dany, she is queen. He can't be king, as only Empress is above king, queen. And Dany is queen. So Jon Snow would be Lord now. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that Jon is a Lord, not a king? I think he's a king still, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I do too, for sure. Like, there's
I think they're equal, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of established. That, I mean, we got the Ouroboros effect. When Dany was Misa being lifted into the air and Jon's rising above the Battle of the Bastards, they are in unison experiencing a very similar story arc. So for them, I think that we will see some people push back against Daenerys being in the North, but I think equally for each other, they think of each other as equals.
I agree 100%. Plus, you got the big fact that they are not brother and sister. They're both Targaryens. Yeah. So that's definitely going to, like, I don't see how one's going to rise above the other.
And I think too, even though Jon has ants in his pants. Sorry, I know I made that joke a couple. I don't know if anybody else is laughing, but at least we're laughing. Obviously, it is going to affect many different things. They don't know about that yet. Obviously, Jon still has to find out about that. So, to answer your question, James, Jon is still a king. I mean, Daenerys Daenerys is going to marry a king. Like, they're going to get married next season. Daenerys is pregnant.
Yeah.
Hope everyone understands that.
Shoot, man, you just ruined it for everyone.
Oh, damn. We didn't know that was going to happen. But cheers to anyone in the chat. I'm having a Sapporo cold beer right now. Super nice sunny day outside. And Logan, you're having water, so cheers.
I got some water, dude. I got some water. I got to work tomorrow. I might would drink some moonshine, but that's all I have at my disposal. So we'll go with water.
But so and Smokahontas says it though in the chat. Later on, we learn from Sam and Bran that Jon is not a Sand, he's not a Snow, he's actually the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, right?
Exactly.
And he has to be told, like, this is such a huge revelation. So how do you like? So my question to you is, man, is how do you think Jon's going to react about this? Because he had so much respect for Ned, right?
Right. Let's go off a question I got for you first. This is like a counter question. When do you think they'll tell him? Do you think they're going to tell him like right off the bat, or do you think they're going to wait? Because I think that plays a huge part.
There's two schools of thought for me. One, it would be really interesting for the story if they waited. But at the same time, I think they need to accomplish this in the first episode.
I do too. That's exactly how I feel. I think they got to tell him right off the bat, because like the whole show is basically Jon being a bastard, pretty much. If you think about it, it kind of dwindles down to a few things, and one of them is just the fact that he's a bastard. So now that they have this knowledge, they got to tell him. And honestly, I think they tell him right off the bat, he's not going to care too much. He's focused on, defeating the.
I mean, he's accomplished that much already with being a bastard.
Exactly, right? Exactly. And I can't really see him like really wanting to be a Targaryen. I think like he finds out who his mother is. I think he's Stark, 100%, dude. I think.
So here's another hypothetical question. Then let's say Jon survives the story.
Okay.
Maybe Dany doesn't. Which name does he take? Because I think he's more likely to be Jon Stark if Dany dies, and give his child kind of like more of a normal life in the north than as opposed to, the southern thing that's going on.
Very true. Very true. I think even if Dany lives, there's a good chance that he still wants to be a Stark. They may just kind of, I don't know, leave that out at the end, exactly what goes down with all of that. But I could definitely see him still just wanting to be a Stark, because he was raised by Ned. Like, may not be his father, but that was his dad. You know what I mean? So
kind of like, if anybody's seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2? You said you do like, yeah. Anyways, Yondu says, I'm your daddy. So Peter Quill meets his father, and his father is basically a planet-eating universe destroyer. So he's named Ego. But it's kind of the same thing. Like Ned Stark. And what's so interesting, me and Logan talked about this earlier about the impact of Ned Stark being through all of these seasons. His words still carry so much weight with Arya, with Sansa, with everyone. We're now seeing everyone return, and his values still mean so much. Exactly. Even though Ned didn't listen to Catelyn and all these other things, and he's not good at the Game of Thrones. But Ned Stark, man, damn.
Yeah.
Why did you have to leave us like that? I see some people in the chat. They said, Indeed Geek sends his regards. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate that. We kind of jumped from like 60 to 80. So people that are coming from Indeed Geek stream, hello. This is Lycan Studios, another Game of Thrones YouTuber, if you haven't met him. I'm the second most handsome man here tonight. I don't usually say that. I know. Pretty
good looking guy. I think you got me. We'll say you got me.
But you know what? We are going to talk about some more about the Clegane Bowl after, but let's take a couple questions from the chat, man. Let's see kind of what's going on here. We have Nicola Regular. He's saying, Kyle, will Jon be saved by Jaime and not Brienne? What do you think about that?
I don't know.
Because Jaime always regretted not being able to save Rhaegar's children in the books. He's like, man, like, my father hurt your father. He has a fever dream on a weirwood stump. But and he kind of goes into this, self-reflection mode. But what do you think, though? Like, you think that Rhaegar, you think that Jaime, if he finds out that Jon is the true-born heir, he will protect him? Because he did try to serve the kingdom as best as he could, but Mad King Harris is trying to burn people alive, right? I mean,
right. That's a tough one for sure. I think Jaime is kind of just going to fall in line with defeating the White Walkers. I think he knows that is the goal, or otherwise they're all going to die. So I think Jaime would save anybody he could, honestly, during the fight with the White Walkers. And I think he's starting to take this turn to where he's going to, I think, like when we first meet Jaime, the biggest thing he does, obviously, is he's pushing Bran out of the tower. So kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth. But I think by the end of the show, he's going to be an honorable character and everybody's going to like him. That's kind of how I think it's going to go down. I think he has to go down that way.
That's kind of where it's going too. Like, I mean, we have characters that are good in the beginning and then become more gray and that are doing more, like warging Hodor, like skin changing into Hodor. That's not a good thing,
right?
I mean, we saw obviously what happened, and I don't think that Bran's going to be a villain per se, but it would be interesting if Jaime and Bran would be on opposite sides of the spectrum from the very first episode of the series of what we saw.
Right. Yeah, dude. Somebody was actually talking about that in the comments of one of my videos. I think it was like the fate of Bran Stark, but yeah, like how these characters do these intertwines and then end up on the other side of the spectrum. George R.R. Martin, he's a genius. That's all I got to say. It's crazy.
By the way, anybody that hasn't checked out Logan's channel, Lycan Studios, the links are in the description of the video, the Twitter. You can go subscribe to his channel, and he also has Patreon if you're into that kind of things, supporting other creator and artists. Just so you guys know, you can go follow him. We have In Deep Geek in the chat, and we gotta make him a moderator. I don't know how he's not a mod yet. But you know, let's kind of get into the. We were talking about this earlier, the prequels, man. We're both pretty hype about that. I mean, it's good news, right?
Oh yeah. 100%. So like, I think you said it in one of your live streams, maybe that the best thing about this prequel and what they've decided to, you know, try out, I guess, since really they've just greenlit the pilot so far, is that no one really knows like where this is going to go. Like everybody has read the books for the most part, you know, for this, for the Game of Thrones it's on now. So everybody kind of had this idea in their heads of where this is going to go. But the fact that this opens up so much like possible creativity, that's huge. And I think it'll leave a lot more people kind of in awe, if that makes sense, since they don't really
know. The cool thing is too is that I don't want to say there's anything negative. I don't want to say there's anything negative about having the books already done before you do a TV show. Alyssa, we'll get to your donation in just a second, but you know, going into it blind together, like experiencing it like that for me is just something that's really exciting. You know, like we're all going to be at the same level. Like, yeah, some people might know a little bit more about the history of Westeros and you know, the White Walkers and the Children of the Forest, but still, I think that's a good thing.
Exactly, I agree 100%. I didn't mean to like if I sounded kind of negative about there already being books.
No, man, you spin it how you want them, man. That's what we're here for.
But yeah, definitely, I 100% agree with you, what you said. And I think it was your video that I was watching that kind of made me think that. I was like, yeah, they can really take this kind of however they want, especially when they have that statement where it says like nothing, or it's not going to happen like we think we know, or however they worded it. Like that's pretty crazy.
Big shout out to Robert again. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Anybody that's in the UK or in Europe that's staying up late, we do have some. We usually do streams a little bit earlier, Logan, at like 2:30 p.m. on Thursdays, and then. But tonight we're doing, you know, Logan had to work a little bit earlier, so we. No, it's cool. We try to accommodate and make things work so we can have new people on the channel, and obviously Logan is awesome. But
thanks, man.
But yeah, we got a donation, man. We got to put Alyssa on the wall of hype. Hi, Azor Hype. Love and Hype is the prequel set before Old Valyria, and yes, it is. Will the Faceless Men play a role? That's really interesting. The Faceless Men were more around. The first Faceless Men kind of originated when the old mines of Valyria, and you might not know this because you haven't checked out the books as much, but the first known was actually in the mines of Valyria, and there's fireworms, and they were like enslaving these people because they're building this great empire. Not the Targaryens, but the Targaryens were actually a miner. So I don't know if we're going to see the Faceless Men, Alyssa, in the prequels. Is going to be set thousands and thousands of years before Game of Thrones. It's not going to be a couple hundred or like 1,000 years. It's going to be thousands, like the Age of Heroes and the Long Night. George R. R. Martin actually just had an interview about that. If you want to go check it out on Watch On the Wall, I believe they have. Take over for a second while I go right on the wall of hype, man. Let's get some.
Sounds good. Got to give a shout out to some people real quick. We have Mel of Winterfell. Just want to say thank you so much for joining in. Muspus. Let's see. Virginia Moore. Shout out to you. You guys are fantastic. This is awesome being here. I just want to say I really appreciate all of you guys, you know, welcoming me with open arms. It's pretty cool. Game of Thrones community is absolutely amazing. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. I actually used to like do gaming videos and stuff on YouTube. So just coming into this community and it being so welcoming is fantastic. Fantastic.
And everybody show some hype and love in the chat for Logan, man. He's awesome. You know, we try to, like I said, hype and love. That means everyone is welcome here. You know, we might not all agree, but we all try to have a good time together. And we all know how difficult it is to make it on YouTube. So spreading the love and hype is definitely a thing that's welcome. We got another YouTuber in the chat, actually. Speaking of King McKay, He's chilling out in New Zealand, man. He's still. What time is it there for you, King? Isn't it like 8 in the morning, dude? It's insane if you're chilling with us. It's like that early.
Seen a good question. I got one for you. So we were kind of talking about this a little bit too. Mel of Winterfell says, "Is anyone else worried about getting answers about the Night King?" So what do you think about that one?
Me and you were talking about this right before the stream.
Right.
I was like, Logan, what do you think about this, dude? I'm gonna let you give your take first because I think it's really interesting. I'm kind of opposite to what you think.
All right. So I seen, like, when I first heard about it, I think even in my video when I was reading like the article through the first time, I was like, okay, what exactly does this mean for what we could possibly learn about the Night King? Does this mean that they won't really go into it that much, since now there's going to be a whole prequel talking about the Long Night and stuff and like the rise of the White Walkers? But I was kind of thinking in my head, it's like there was so many possibilities for prequels that they couldn't have really known. The showrunners of current Game of Thrones couldn't really know that that's what was going to be, you know, greenlit for the pilot. So my question is not really how is the prequel going to affect season 8, but how is season 8 going to affect the prequel? Because they're going to have to tie in with what we're seeing now for it to kind of make sense. They could obviously, I mean, they could switch it up and stuff, but I think they have to make it make a little bit of sense, you would think. And we've already seen, you know, Bran's vision of how they think the Night King was created. So I'm not too sure how that's actually going to play out, but let's hear what you got to say. Because I know you're thinking that the prequel could mess with it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to think about. Obviously, I mean, there's so many possibilities, like we've discussed, right? Like, I mean, are we going to get the backstory of the Night King in Game of Thrones season 8? Does this mean still George can be like, aha, I still have way more to tell you. I haven't told you everything, Dan and Dave. Like, I mean, right. Dan and Dave have been giving us like a skeleton, kind of an outline of what's going to happen, but they don't have the last book. We don't. I mean, we don't know what it's going to be. I mean, Dream of Spring might be 2 books. So, George, I love you. Please get on the books.
Right, and I guess like in the books, I mean, I haven't read them, but the Night King doesn't even really exist, does he? In the books,
yeah, he's more of a myth, yeah.
Right, like I mean, the Night's King or however.
They say the 13th Lord Commander. Yeah, it's more reference to. And the Night's Queen, they kind of they did some pretty awful stuff. It's sad anyways, but like, you know, maybe that's kind of some of the stuff that we get to know in the prequels, and that's really exciting. You know what I mean? Maybe we don't get all the answers in season 8, man, and we get it in the prequels, and that's like something to really look forward to. Because if you think about it, it says Mysteries of the East, but maybe the next show can kind of be divided half and half between, like, you know, the East and the West, that kind of, and then, you know, Ice and Fire come together, and this kind of, you know, the Long Night is affecting both the East and the West. That could be something that's amazing.
Right. Just so, like, if you guys want to check it out, I think it was Bridge 4 that did a video. He's brilliant.
He's awesome. He's going to be coming on the channel, by the way. Super nice guy.
Oh, that's awesome. Can't wait to see you guys talking about all this stuff. But yeah, so he had this video where he was talking about how, like, the whole past could be different from what we know it, because it's a world where they didn't really write a bunch of stuff down. So, like, they've just been singing about it and talking about it throughout the year. So it's crazy to me. Like, he's basically created a whole world. Because if you think about it, like, how much of our actual history could be like falsified or, you know, perceived in a different
Jesus
way.
Christ, for example. Yeah, I mean, the Bible.
Exactly.
The Bible has been rewritten how many times? We don't know exactly, but there's definitely things that are. We're like, okay, that's not real. Like, you know, we live in reality. Right. Maybe it was, I don't know, maybe there's like golden age period where there was like some sort of technology that could do this shit, but we weren't there 2,000 years ago, right?
Exactly. And that's kind of how I feel like they could play it off for this whole prequel. It's like, you guys don't know what happened because no one that was alive is talking about it anymore. So it's just, I don't know, it blows my mind to think he's actually made a world that realistic to where even the history could be changed up. Like, I don't know, man. It's crazy. It kind of.
What are you guys doing? What are they doing in chat? They're asking who Kyle is. Everybody knows that I'm Kyle. You guys trying to, and they're doing horny goats in chat. Like,
oh no,
you guys are weird.
We missed something.
So we got another donation from William Rice. Another patron of the channel. Will we see a meet between Gendry and Dany? How will she react to the fact that his father overthrew hers? How will Jon react to the fact that Bobby B killed Rhaegar? Ooh, yeah, that's pretty interesting, right? Because Davos went and got Gendry. He's a good you know, and I got to chill with him in person, by the way. He's super chill.
Right.
Joe Dempsey, and also handsome. But that's an interesting question, Logan. What do you think about that? Do you think that do you think that Gendry's going to cause any waves? I don't think so, but I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I don't really feel like he will either, to be honest. Hold on one second. I gotta answer this question before it's bugging me. So somebody asked what's in the cage. So when I married my wife, she had a rabbit, and the rabbit kind of came with her. So it's a rabbit. I don't want you guys thinking it's anything weird. But yeah, as far as the question,
I need to clarify. It's not anything weird. All right,
that's a rabbit. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's gonna be kind of just one of those characters that's just gonna be supporting, pretty much. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I've been talking about it a lot with people who watch my videos and stuff. Like, everybody has like this certain theory that's mapped out for these certain characters and stuff. And I kind of feel like, honestly, like a lot of them will kind of fall back into a supporting role. Like, maybe they're going to be focusing on like 3, maybe 4 characters the most. And a lot of them are kind of just going to be falling back into a supportive type thing, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. I mean, I get this vibe of, you know, the Knights of the Round Table type of deal. We hear of the gods of the Seven in the Faith of the Seven. You know, I think there's going to be like, you know, I think Jon's going to survive. Me and Jim are going to argue about this forever. But you know, Jon Snow, Brienne, you know, Davos, Tyrion, Sansa, like, you know, a group of like 7, 8 people that are there where Jon's like, listen, we're melting down the Iron Throne. This is what we're doing. Right. All of us together are going to decide how we move forward. That type of deal. So
yeah. I can definitely see that. Do you think
Chad is such a troll right now? What are you guys talking about, lotion? I don't. No, continue. But no, I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't think I've even caught it on any of your videos yet. I'm sure you talk about it a lot. Do you think Dany is going to live? It kind of sounds like you don't think she's gonna make it.
I think she's gonna die. Karen Richmond hates this for me. Right. Smokahontas, we will get to your question. I'm going to save that one. That's a great question. Yeah, I think she's going to die. And there's so many different options. It's like, one, does she go Mad Queen? Because like her most recent interview, I actually got a video I'm releasing tomorrow, by the way, everyone, about Daenerys Targaryen and why I think she's going to die. But if you think about it, Daenerys Targaryen, think of the Song of Ice and Fire. We see Jon and Daenerys, and like Daenerys has always been this person in a position where she thinks she has this thing that's inherited to her. Like, it belongs to her. And Jon's been doing this thing, which is very selfless this whole time, right? Like, he's been selflessly giving himself for the realm. And I think that, I don't want to say Jon is the alpha dragon, but I think if it came down to it and Dany knew that she had to die to break the wheel, she would 100% do it. Of course, if their child was born.
I agree.
Because I think that's going to be a huge thing. I think they're having a kid 1,000%. But after that, I think it's game over. I think she's done. Whether she gets sacrifices the Nisa prophecy, like, she, in the show at least, is unburnt. So does that mean her blood truly has the magical properties? Like, if Jon sticks a sword in her, I mean, he's already stuck a sword in her. But you know what I mean? Like, all of these things, like, will she be sacrificed to Nisa? Will she go Mad Queen? Will she die in battle on like falling off a dragon or something? Like, will she sacrifice herself? There's so many different options. Jon has already he's already died. So I don't know. It's for me, that's how I see it.
Right. As long as it's not childbirth and it's something kind of badass, I'll be okay. Because that whole childbirth
That's actually how I think it's going to happen.
Oh, no. I guess, I mean, I know that there's like something to do with like Targaryen women a lot of times died during childbirth, but oh God, I hope it's not childbirth. I feel like that's like an insult to women in general. They have this powerful woman
check this
and then she dies in childbirth. I hate it.
I'm going to spoil a little bit of a point of my video tomorrow, but what happened to Daenerys' mother? What happened to her? She died in childbirth, and Daenerys never knew her. Tyrion talked to her, at least in the show, about what she wants to see may not happen in her generation. And that's kind of the dream of spring. Let's put that out there. And I think that Daenerys, she pledged herself. Oh my God, we got a super chat train going. Oh shit. But I think that, you know, obviously, if Daenerys knows she's going to die or she has to die, she knows that Jon would at least be a good option. Jon could still die too, And there,
Right.
someone could, like Tyrion could be the person that does it all. I'm just saying though, if it came down to it, I know a lot of people think Daenerys Targaryen is selfish, but I mean, I don't know. She almost submitted herself to Jon. Like when he's there and he's like, I would bend the knee, but I can't. I can't do a Jon Snow. I can't do a Jon Snow kid.
That was perfect.
But that's kind of my thoughts on it, though. It's like their destiny switch. Like Jon has always been willing to sacrifice himself, and Daenerys has always wanted the Iron Throne. What if it's like the other way around? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, Daenerys sacrificing, Jon takes the Iron Throne. That's kind of how I see it happening. I don't know.
That's very true. What if she ends up taking like a step back from everything, though, knowing that she's pregnant? Do you think that's a possibility? Because obviously,
I don't think she would let people tell her to be like, yo, she's like, I'm a dragon queen. You know, I don't think she's gonna accept that.
I think if she finds out, like when they find out they're having a kid together, do you think she would kind of submit to Jon maybe just a little bit, enough to step back? I think there's a possibility, but at the same time, that kind of cuts out a lot of action that they could do.
They're making fun of my Jon Snow accent in the chat. Yeah, you guys are dicks. We got 2 more donations. John St. Baptiste, get some MFing hype on the MFing plane. All right. And then we have Preston, who's the Blackfire Song of Ice and Fire. Yo, so we haven't talked Sam and how he always wanted to be a wizard. Do you think, damn it, I closed it. Do you think this will actually happen? At least be able to dabble in magic and be successful, unlike the Maesters? Yeah, good question. I actually think he's going to become Warden of the South. Personally, what do you think about Sam? Like, is he going to do something fantastical? Because I kind of see a Jon, Samuel as a like Samwise Frodo comparison. If you know you guys like Lord of the Rings,
definitely, I definitely see that. Yeah, I think that's probably the best comparison you could give, really, of what these two characters are. I feel like Sam and Bran may kind of become like this power couple as far as like gaining knowledge, because it seems like you have to ask Bran the correct questions for him to go back and figure out what's going on. So I think Sam will start providing the questions and Bran will go out and, you know, find out what's going on. That's kind of how I think it'll go. And then, I mean, of course, if they all live, Sam's definitely going to, you know, rule over something big for sure.
It's so crazy because he's like, you know, like literally so big he can barely run away from his father. You know, here's the other thing too, is the Sam the narrator theory probable? Because we look at the books, the Maester, Archmaester Ebrose, who's kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of different characters from the books. He was writing basically the chronicles of the War of the Vikings, after the War of the Vikings, Rob Baratheon, right, about that. So right. Is Samuel going to be like, he has a comment where he's like, oh, that's not that interesting. You know what I mean? But then he's like searching for all of these interesting things throughout the, you know, obviously the restricted part of the Citadel.
Right. That would definitely make a lot of sense for sure. And just imagine if like at the end they make it to where it's present day, whatever's going on, and it's George R.R. Martin talking about it like as a future Samwell Tarly. I think that would be pretty cool, because I feel like, I mean, he created this. Like if he wants a little part in it, like at the end, you got to give it to him. I think that would be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, at least I'm not saying he's narrating the whole story, but I mean, he could at least have a role like a Bilbo Baggins in the end of the story.
Right, right. Yeah, just
the Grand Maester. I mean, Sam's going to be Grand Maester or something.
Exactly. I think
he's surviving the whole story. Everyone, if anybody disagrees, get out. I don't know that story.
Yeah, he's not going to be in the middle of any fights. That's for sure. He would have to like trip and fall and kill himself or something silly for him to actually die, I think.
Smokeahaunt has had a question about the World of Ice and Fire and some of the lore of the Song of Ice and Fire. Logan, any chance we see the Jade Emperor in the prequel? We might see Yi Ti and some of that stuff in the prequel. If they're really, really going thousands of years back, Nicole, it's possible that we see that kind of, I mean, if you look at the map of Westeros, there's Southaros, like, which is, I don't know if we're ever going to go to like a land where there's dinosaurs and stuff like that. That might be too much for the CGI. But I think that we are going to see, you know, we might see a Shy. We might see the Shadowlands, and it's definitely possible we might see Yi Ti and that kind of thing, because there is some nefarious stuff going on there. I know what you're kind of getting at, the dark magic. And it is said in the prequel, in the article, it does say, Logan, that like the history of Westeros isn't what we think it is, which is interesting. So is that in the kind of allusion to maybe the White Walkers' history is a little bit more skewed than we think?
Right. I think that could definitely go back like to where that Bridge 4 video where he's talking about how just like, you know, even the timeline could be different. Like they could almost do whatever they want with this, honestly. Like we were talking about it, like the creativity that this opens up is insane. And especially with George R. Martin being right there, you know, the guy who created all of this, like they could do whatever they want with it. And I feel like they're smart enough to where they could tie it in if they even need to with what's going down in Game of Thrones now. I think they could do pretty much whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, the history and lore, we don't have that.
Exactly.
So it is really interesting. And to follow up on you, Preston, he says, I believe that baby Sam, there's something more about him. Yeah, his blue eyes are a little bit too nice for my liking when Sam's mother's holding him. So maybe, you know, I actually have a theory that baby Sam and Jon and Daenerys' kid are kind of like the future of Westeros. I think they're like join their houses. They're going to be like kind of, you know, because the story is really about children. I mean, look at what happens with Ned Stark. His children, when he dies, there's chaos. When Tywin dies, there's chaos. You know, when Roose dies, Ramsay creates chaos. That's kind of how it goes within the Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones.
Right. I don't know. I can't even hardly set my mind on what could possibly happen afterwards. Like, I don't know. This prequel news, I'm all about thinking about what's going on beforehand. I think they could definitely, I don't know, man. They've made so many options with what they've done. It's crazy. But I definitely like the theory that the children, you know, could join houses and stuff. Definitely be interesting for sure.
Now, we were chatting a little bit about this earlier. There's a rumor out there that one of the prequels was actually Khal Drogo's rise to power. Now that's crazy.
That would
if
be
that was one of the options. That's super intriguing to me.
Right. Because if you think about it, how many times did we actually get to see Khal Drogo fight? I think like maybe a clip of it, like one time, I think. I think it was just once, wasn't it?
Chris Weinberger, I got your question next. Yeah, we saw him fight. I can't remember his name, but I mean, he fights once at his wedding, and then he gets injured, and then he obviously, he obviously dies.
This kind of like spans a bigger question. Like, do you ever think that's oh no, he unplugged himself?
I unplugged myself, everyone. I'm gonna put my cord over here.
Do you ever think about that? Like, all right, so Khal Drogo, top-notch fighter. We see him fight one time. Jaime Lannister, supposed to be one of the best fighters around. We only see him fight one time fairly, you know, with both hands not tied up or anything.
Like, no, I mean, they do a standoff kind. I mean, he fights Brienne, but then twice with Ned Stark. But I mean, not like a real huge battle.
Right. Like the only time it was really fair, I think, was with Ned. And obviously that didn't even end in a good way. I mean, obviously one of his guards got him right through the leg, but it's kind of crazy how like the best fighters, we never even really get to see him. So like a prequel about probably the best fighter. Like I put my money on Khal Drogo versus anybody in Game of Thrones. Not even really seeing. Exactly. So like, could you imagine just watching the greatest fighter probably in the whole show? How he,
I wonder how many seasons they can do with that though. I mean, like obviously, the specific prequel they're talking about, I mean, they can do way more seasons, right?
Right. And I mean, especially like, because that would be another thing that their creativity would just, they could go from left to right however they want to, because it would be mainly focused on when he was a kid and stuff and how he grew up and stuff. So they could, I don't know, there's so many things. It blows my mind.
Crazy. Speaking of the prequels, tomorrow, me, Secrets of the Citadel Gemma, and Phil the Issues Guy have a podcast, Citadel of Hype podcast, number 18 already. It's crazy. It's flying by. We're going to do episode number 18 tomorrow here on this channel. And we're going to talk about the Long Night in the Age of Heroes. It's going to be really awesome. And our bonus podcast is actually going to be on Brand the Builder. Patrons of my channel and Secrets of the Citadel's channel, you guys voted, and collectively it beat up the Grey King, the King of the Iron Islands, by about 12 votes. So tomorrow, if you are signed up on Patreon, expect a whole nother half an hour podcast on Patreon about Brand the Builder. We are going to talk about him tomorrow, but we're going to do a whole special segment. We got some more questions here, Logan. Chris Weinberger says, a lot of people think that Dany is going to be Jon's niece Anissa, but what if it ends up the other way? What do you think about that?
Honestly, pretty much anybody who watches my videos knows that I'm not the biggest fan. Like, I'll admit it, I'm not the biggest fan of the Nisa Nisa theory and all that stuff. So I don't really look into it too much. Um, honestly, not even really enough to answer a question thoughtfully. I can say, like, it's not my main thing. Like I really don't want season 8 to go that way, but if it does, it'd be cool. I'll make the best of it, of course, but I'm not sold on it. I'll be honest. Like, it's just not one of my things.
Do you think prophecy is something that we should be a little bit careful about?
Yeah, definitely. Cause it's going to be quite a, like, with everything that I feel like they have to finish perfectly. Like, okay, imagine the average viewer who's never really read the books or anything. Like, you start throwing in like a Nisa Nisa prophecy where Jon has to kill Dany or something like that. People are going to be like, what the hell is going on? So I'm not really sold on it, but that's me being a person who's really not gotten into the books like I need to. So that's definitely a better question for you, I feel like.
You know what's crazy is we have one of the original first 50 subscribers on the channel, and his name is Ricey. He's from England. Awesome. He used to do YouTube videos, but he's going to school. But Ricey is in the chat. Crazy. He's like, I finally get to see a live stream. Yeah, my thoughts on it. Yeah, I mean, you guys know I love Jon Snow. I'm a Jon Snow fanboy, so it's kind of hard for me to get around. I mean, just based on the hero's journey as well. You know, studying the hero's journey and based on what's happened, obviously, that would be breaking the hero's journey a little bit if he dies. Obviously, me and Gemma differ. We have had debates about this. We have had actually a Con of Thrones panel on this exact topic. So I don't know. It's really tough for me to get off of my gut feeling on that Jon is going to be Ned Stark in the end with, you know, a motherless child. That kind of ending. So. But it was, I mean, there's pictures of like them in season 2 doing a photo shoot where Emilia Clarke has a sword to Kit's neck and stuff. So some people are saying like that's foreshadowing. I don't know about that. I think that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, dude, people will pull some of the craziest things from things you never even thought about to try to fit their agenda. But I don't know. I really hope that theory doesn't go down, or the prophecy, honestly. Like, it would be cool because that is something like that they've taken from George R.R. Martin's mind. But at the same time, like, just imagine watching Jon kill Dany or vice versa. Like, I don't know. That'd be crazy. They would really have to explain it in a way that nobody second guessed it, I feel like, because they're literally having the main character kill off the other main character. Like, I don't know. It'd be crazy. Don't get me wrong.
Right. That would be super tragic though, right? I mean, yeah, the fact that we would have to experience that is, oh, that's crazy.
Right. I'm going to bring the B word in there though. How bittersweet is that actually?
But Emilia Clarke's last interview, she said that it would leave a lasting flavor in your mouth of who Daenerys Targaryen really is. And she was talking about and I'm like, flavor bittersweet or what?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because to me, I take that as like some negative connotation. So maybe she does kill Jon, dude. You never know. Maybe she just ends him. But I don't know. I can't see it. I can't see it.
Roy Smith says, what do you think about the theory that the Night King is actually running from something rather than conquering? So there's something that there's something above the food chain, above the Night King. I don't know. I can't really get behind that. I don't think.
I don't think so either. Someone, like, I forget where I read it. It was talking about how basically the only thing the Night King is trying to do is trying to stop the birth of Jon and Dany's child, because it's going to be even worse news than the Night King. Like, that was, I forget exactly how that was tied in, but it was pretty interesting. I'll have to find it and maybe make a video about it or something later. But that'd be pretty interesting.
That's an interesting one. You know, that child being the beacon or the light bringer that brings everyone together. Like, oh, you know, the Starks, the Targaryens, you know, obviously Cersei's doing her own thing in King's Landing. She's kind of, she's kind of not all there.
A little bit. So there's a question for you. What do you think is going to go down with Cersei exactly? Like, do you agree that she has to die? I feel like she has to die. A lot of people are thinking she may live, but I feel like she has to die.
I think her and Jaime both die, I think.
Yeah, right. Do you think that she is like the main villain, or do you think the Night King is the main villain?
I don't think there is a main villain. I think humans, the humans' actions. I mean, we see the wheel of the Iron Throne, obviously, right? But I mean, look at they were cutting down the weirwood trees, which are essentially like the memory banks or the weir net of the children of the forest. So that's kind of like, imagine like you and your family had a tree in your backyard. And your whole family is dead, but you could walk up to that tree and you could touch it and you could access all the memories and all the things that you did in that backyard with your family. You would be pissed off if I cut that down, would you not?
Yeah, for sure, for
And
sure.
I think that's kind of where we're going with it, where the connection between man and nature is like, oh, okay, like we're also worried about wealth and power and all of these other things that we've lost connection to, actually just supporting each other and living and surviving in the
Right,
universe.
right. I guess I could kind of say for that though, I feel like killing Cersei would embrace destroying all of that though, more than actually killing the Night King. You know what I
Well,
mean?
well, do you think destroying the Night King and destroying the Iron Throne are probably the two most? I mean, like if they have an Iron Throne, I guess I can see it surviving, but I think it's actually going to be melted down. So I think that
Yeah,
Cersei is going to be that. I mean, the mountain needs to be removed, then Cersei, and then there's that. Obviously, the what the Iron Throne represents, this
right,
absolute power over, the small folk, all these other kingdoms. I think that
right.
kind of needs to go, right?
Yeah, I think we're kind of getting to the same thing. Like basically, we're both saying that the Night King has to go for sure, or otherwise no one's going to live. But also the will has to be broken, which is basically the Iron Throne, which is basically Cersei. So I think we're kind of agreeing on that. But I guess my question was more like, what do you think goes first? Like, do you think the Night King possibly makes it through like all the episodes, or do you think
Well,
Cersei?
I actually think that Cersei's going to make it to episode 5, and because
I
we got
agree.
to remember that
Totally.
Miguel Sapochnik, who he's the one who directed Hard Home, The Battle of the
Mhm.
Bastards, and Winds of Winter, season 6, episode 10, best episode of the series. Um, he's the one who's directing episodes 3 and 5. The Battle of Winterfell
Right.
is apparently episode 3, and then Battle for King's Landing is apparently episode 5.
That's
So I
kind of what
think
I'm
that
thinking.
Cersei dies first. The Night King has to go after her, I think.
You think so? Oh man, see, like when I hear it like that, like the Battle of Winterfell is 3, King's Landing's 5. It's like I kind of feel like maybe they'll be done with the Night King by episode 3, and then it'll all turn focus towards King's Landing. But I don't know,
I
dude.
think I
That's tough.
think that's tough. I don't know if I can agree with you on that one, Logan.
Yeah, you're kind of right. Like I feel like the Night King and Cersei do need to meet eyes, like at least one time. I think
That would
so.
be tight.
That's tough. That's really tough. But yeah, like I don't know. I
We
kind
got
of got like
another
in my
friend in the
head.
chat here, Logan. Lucifer means Lightbringer. Another YouTuber. People are saying doing shots. I mean, I got a Sapporo. I mean, I'm drinking it, guys.
I think they're talking about my H2O water shots.
All right, I have to go for a pee. Everybody behave. Logan, you're taking over the stream.
Oh man, what do I do? Tell me what I do.
John St. Baptiste, do you think I don't know. You chat with the chat. I don't know.
All right, I
Just
got
make sure
this.
it's not lewd.
All right, we're gonna be reading some comments. If you guys want me to read anything or answer anything, we'll go with that. We'll wing it. Let's see. Hairy unicorns. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. I've been seeing like a lot of unicorns and goats. I don't even know where you guys are at right now. Cersei will die on the Iron Throne when Dany orders Drogon to Dracarys, thus breaking the Valonqar prophecy. That is something we should bring up, the Valonqar prophecy. I wonder what he thinks about that. We'll bring that up as soon as he gets back. Because I think there's a good possibility that they actually bring it into the show. I think it would be pretty cool. I kind of got this theory where I mean, it's a pretty popular theory. It's not mine per se, but Arya actually kills Cersei with Jaime's face. I think that'd be really cool. Pretty popular theory. Show us your rabbit. I think he's sleeping. I don't want to mess with him. But his name's Liam. Liam the rabbit. Oh, that one says, who's the Valonqar, Jaime or Arya? See, I think kind of like what I was talking about. I think it will be Arya using Jaime's face. I think that would be pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not in on the joke. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Yeah, Mark, I agree. I think that would be absolutely awesome. Apparently, I'm like not in on some kind of inside joke, so I'm not too sure what they're talking about.
Horny goats. I don't know. I mean, they were talking about Rickon Stark in the books. He's on this place called Skagos, and there's apparently unicorns there, or like, or all sorts of interesting animals. And I don't know. I think they want here. I got another beer for you guys because you guys were asking me to.
I gotta read the books, dude. If I'm gonna be able to keep up with these guys, I gotta read them like ASAP. I'm gonna download them on audio, like tonight probably.
Now let me ask you this question. No, I actually have the audiobooks. You can have them whenever you want.
All right. Heck yeah.
You're hooked up. Lycan Studios, winner of the giveaway.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this question. Why are you guys saying enormous in the chat? Enormous unicorn goats. You guys are sadistic. But do you like 90-minute episodes? I mean, is it possible that it doesn't come out in April, comes out a little bit later, and we get bigger episodes? How would you feel about that if it was 6 90-minute episodes?
All right. Are you talking about like if they push it off and it's longer than 90, or pushing it off equals 90? Either way, like if they push it off a couple months and we're getting longer episodes, I'm 100% for it, honestly, because in the grand scheme of things, what's a couple more months if we're going to get more content? You know what I mean? All for it. 100%.
If you ask if I wash my hands in the chat, get out of here. You guys are such trolls, man.
That sounds like a no to me.
Oh my goodness. Eric's son and Laura D banned. You guys are hilarious. Milk. I don't even know what's going on in the chat anymore. I think this is just a meme stream.
Could be.
But so far we've had a blast. John St. Baptiste, do you think there is good you think it is good that there is less source material for the fans to bicker about for the next prequel? And I actually think it is really good. You guys know, and Logan, we talked about this, like creating a positive influence in your community. Gemma knows more about the books than I do, and sometimes when we're on her page, you know, she has to delete comments that are rude about me, because I don't know as much about the books as Gemma, or people have preferences. But I do think it's actually a good thing if all of us go blind together into this new prequel. I'm actually really excited about that. We might get more revelations in season 8, everyone, but that doesn't mean it's going to be the same in George's book. So for me, yes, I think it's 100% a positive thing. You, Logan, what do you think about that?
Oh, 100%, dude. I want all of you guys down on my level. Of course.
you want to so, well, okay, so you're making fun of yours.
Nah, yeah, I think it's like we were talking about before. Like, I think just like you said, going in, both of us blind, or all of us blind for the same thing, like we'll be able to be, I don't know. Like, I'm sure most of you guys who read the books were still excited to see things happening, but I was watching this like this interview with George R.R. Martin where he was just kind of watching the show, and like he'd be a little bit tongue twisted, a little bit disappointed when like he would be thinking the next scene's coming up and they skip it. So I kind of feel like if you're like a really big fan of the books, you probably got some of that for sure. Like maybe some of it's disappointing. So I kind of feel like if we're not really influenced by books, like, but kind of are, because this is still the same world that he's created, I feel like there won't be as much disappointment in Game of Thrones. There won't be hardly as much negativity.
Well, I think the thing too is just that more Game of Thrones is better in my opinion, because George has created this world like you talked about. Like the Silmarillion is seen as the main story really for J.R.R. Tolkien, and look at how much of it is unexplored. I mean, there's literally, they can do 20 seasons of television if they wanted, based on what the information that's out there about George's story. I mean, they can create more stories, more characters. They can base it off other characters. I think it's really good. There's other people in the chat saying, hey, like, I would like, King McKay saying like, hey, I want Nymeria and 10,000 ships, or I want this. And it is that there isn't a no to these other stories, though. We don't know what the other prequel choices are. This is the first pilot that got greenlit. It might not even be a thing. Like it could, obviously with Jane Goldman behind it, she's done Kingsman and X-Men and Kick-Ass. It's probably going to go through. But, there's still other options. I don't think they're going to do 2 prequels at once, but that doesn't mean they won't do 3-4 seasons of this and then 5 seasons of something else, or 2 seasons of something else,
Right. How cool would it be? So like, I'm not really big in like Marvel and like comics and stuff, but I was watching like Arrow when it first came out, and The Flash. Like, how they have like those intertwining episodes? That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, like the crossovers. Those are sweet. Yeah. And then there's another show called Legends of Tomorrow, which has like guest appearances from both of them.
Right. Like,
I'm not huge into the CW because I think it's kind of corny. I had to stop watching because it's like kind of predictable for me. Yeah. But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying though. Like that kind of.
Right. I don't think they'd ever be able to pull it off just because of the budget that these shows are on and stuff. And it's just, I don't know. That would be mind blowing. But imagine how cool that would be, to where they had like 2 different series going at once and they like intertwined and overlapped and stuff.
Well, I mean, we're going to be kind
I
of
can't see
spoiled,
it,
like we
but
said, with Lord of the Rings
yeah,
and Game of Thrones. I mean, they're going to compete, right? I mean, that's why
oh, yeah.
Amazon is getting into the game to compete with Game of Thrones.
100%, dude. 100%. It's just how gory can they really make Lord of the Rings? Like HBO, like obviously Game of Thrones appeals
The
to the more
realism,
mature, the more mature audience. Whereas Lord of the Rings, you're gonna have like 12-year-olds that are like, come on, let's watch this. I mean, I love Frodo and stuff. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to appeal to a very, like, if here's Game of Thrones on the right, here's Lord of the Rings on the left, they're just going to share a little bit of a middle audience, but it's going to kind of take up the whole spectrum from children to older.
Well, I mean, people in the chat, let's take a poll right now. We got 66 people still watching us here on this live stream. How many people are going to watch Game of Thrones, the prequel, and the Lord of the Rings show? If you're going to watch both, put a fire emoji. If you're only going to watch Game of Thrones, put, I don't know, a poo emoji or something. I don't know if there's a poo emoji that you can find, but put a fire emoji if you're gonna watch both shows, if you're interested in both. Because I'm totally interested in seeing more television, and I think we're actually in the golden era of television right now, as far as like, because new technology is coming out and how we're experiencing everything. And obviously, you know, there's more online access to everything. So if you don't have, you know, a specific network in like Canada or US, you can still go online and watch it and whatever, you know. Holy crap. Everybody is.
I kind of got a good follow-up question though.
Yeah.
Right, so all those people that are answering both, how many would let your kids watch Game of Thrones and how many would let your kids watch Lord of the Rings? So that's kind of where I'm getting at. Like, I don't think they're going to be like really competing, because at the end of the day, one can appeal to kind of a more graphic audience than the other can, if that makes sense.
I mean, they're going to be doing Young Aragorn, which was announced, which is really interesting. Young Aragorn on his, you know, his journeys and that. There's so much they can do with that. I mean, obviously they have source material, but they can kind of do the same thing as Game of Thrones. They can create their own. I mean, cinematically, watching movies is totally different than watching a TV show. And watching a TV show, when you experience foreshadowing or you experience a specific event, like a climax within a TV show, is totally different than when you're reading it and imagining it in your mind. So everybody that always compares Game of Thrones to the books, like, I totally get it, but it's like, you know, it is a different experience, and that's why to me I'm like more excited. I don't want to say I'm more excited about the books, because we don't know when the books are going to come out, but I'm excited that they made this announcement.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I definitely would rather watch TV like any day. It kind of gives you something.
I think it's easy. It's because it's easier. It's easier. I mean, I like reading and watching TV, but it's easier, right?
Yeah, it's way easier. And plus, like, I don't know.
I mean, for your situation, I mean, you have a kid and a wife. Like me, I don't know. I'm just kind of a vagabond, so I just
right.
do whatever.
I could definitely make more time for reading. I don't know. It's just not one of those things that I've like really been into. But when you have something like this, it definitely pulls me in. So I think I'm definitely going to start listening to it, like on the car rides and stuff, to and from work. I gotta brush up on the knowledge.
I said climax, and people are trolling me in the chat. I did experience climax filming Boat Sex 2.0 with Jon Snow. If anybody checked out that video, by the way, Jon Snow, if you're still in the chat, anybody hasn't checked out Jon Snow now has Facebook. So type in Jon Snow on Facebook. Go like his page. He's awesome. I think he's gonna be chilling with us at Worldcon in California. Lucifer Means Library is in the chat. We're gonna meet up at Worldcon. Obviously, George R. R. Martin is speaking there. We're gonna go see him. That's really exciting. I know I made an announcement the other day, but everyone, I'm still going to DragonCon, but I'm also going to California to go see George R. R. Martin talk live in person. So if you do want to help me get there, you can sign up on Patreon, or GoFundMe is in the link in the description of this video. So, okay, Logan, we're kind of getting towards the end of the stream here. We've had a lot of fun.
It's been awesome.
Let's get into some fun questions. Chat, we're going to leave it to you. We'll let you ask some Mimi questions if you want. You can also ask some really fun questions, whether it pertains to Season 8 or Game of Thrones. We're going to kind of let it go for the next 10 minutes, and then we're going to sign off. But we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can within the next 10 minutes. We're going to do, it's called Lightning Round. So,
Lightning Round. I like it.
So, no 1 minute answers, but anyone in the chat that wants to ask us some questions. We're going to go for the next 10 minutes, and we really, really thank you for coming and hang out with us. By the way, if you haven't checked out Lycan's channel, description of the video. Don't make me touch the camera. Oh.
I appreciate it, guys, for sure. It's been awesome. We should make these just like one word answers. That's all we can do. Just one word answers.
Lucifer means librarian. Where is the first place you experienced climax? I don't know. Maybe it was playing a video game or like playing with like action figures. I don't know where you're really going with this.
I need the definition of climax.
You know, I don't know if I should have answered that question.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, I need the definition of climax for sure. I guess like if we go off of like pure happiness.
Shira says chinchillas or rabbits as pets. I say rabbits.
Yeah, rabbits. I gotta go with the man, Liam.
King McKay says, what would you want as a pet? An ice spider or a horny goat? I don't know. An ice spider would be pretty sweet, but I don't like spiders, so I'm gonna say a horny goat.
Ice spider, 100%.
Is the seed strong? Is Danny pregnant? Are you pregnant, Kyle? Yes, I am pregnant. I'm carrying. Is Danny pregnant? Yes. What do you think?
Definitely pregnant. And Kyle's definitely pregnant too. He was talking about it earlier.
You guys, it's a trap. Sydney K, great question. What's one thing you need to see in season 8? Backstory of the Night King for me. That's the first one that comes to mind.
Shoot. One thing I need to see. Man, this is hard. Might have to come back to it while I think about it.
Dance of Dragons 2.0, Viserion versus Drogon, Jon Snow versus the Night King, the ending where everyone ends up. What do you think about those options?
Jon riding a dragon. How about that? A lot of people don't like it, but I think that would be fantastic.
I think it's going to happen. We actually have a birthday shout out on the stream today. We have a milady, and I gotta go actually on Facebook. We're gonna answer some more questions. You want to get to these, my man?
Yeah, let me see what we got. Good smell really bad. That was the first thing I read. Oh, let's see. Questions. Is R and L minus J canon in the books? I don't even.
R plus L. Oh yeah. I mean, Jesus, are you kidding me? Is R plus L equals J? I mean, Rhaegar plus Lyanna is canon. I know you people want to trigger me with the Ashera Dane stuff. Ned fell in love with Ashera Dane, Arthur Dane's sister, and they couldn't get married. But people always try to troll me in the chat because they know I hate that theory, and some people think that Jon Snow is Ashera's stuff.
Okay.
But anyways, we got a birthday shout out today. Jamie Blevins, who watches our live stream, she's a mother, and her daughter, they like Game of Thrones. And I don't know if it's appropriate for every kid to see Game of Thrones, but she likes listening to the live chat. So I don't know if she watches Game of Thrones all the time, but her name is Kathleen Meek. And Kathleen, it's her birthday today. She's turning 10 years old. She's awesome. She watches the stream, and I guess she likes to hear us in the background. So I would like to say happy birthday to you, milady.
Happy birthday.
And we're going to address her as Kathleen, the breaker of chains, the mother of dragons, and Misa, the queen of Westeros. So thank you. Happy birthday to you, milady.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
And Jamie, thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Cheers to that. Okay, now there's a bunch of questions we have to get back.
You're much better at reading these. I'm terrible. I'm a terrible host.
Oh, Molson or Labatt's. Geez, I don't really like Canadian beer all that much. I'm drinking Asahi, which is a Japanese dry style beer. I hate Labatt's Blue. I'm gonna go Molson Canadian on that one. Boxers or briefs, dude?
Briefs, 100%.
Yeah, briefs, way more comfy. Golden Company. Will they join forces with Jon when they find out more about the White Walkers? Will they betray Cersei?
That's huge. I see it. I can see it happening. Definitely. When they
I'm
find
gonna
out.
I'm gonna say no on that one. Actually,
think they go where the money goes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then in the books, the Blackfires are a bastard line of the Targaryens. So I mean, they hate the Targaryens. I don't know. I could be wrong though. Cersei versus Daenerys. I'll take Daenerys.
Yeah, have to.
Those dragons.
She's got a dragon. Exactly.
We got geez. I'm trying. You guys and these goats are unicorns, man. You guys are really like trying to make this unprofessional for me. So we got a couple minutes left. We got 1 minute left. I'll ask you one more question. What do you love most about Game of Thrones?
Main characters die and they're really not afraid to have that happen. Like most people would be like, all right, this is my pride and joy. These main characters can't do anything to them. They're untouchable. You kind of know that when they are faced with a tough situation that they'll always come out of it. Not Game of Thrones, dude. Like people die fast. Definitely my favorite thing.
Yeah, so Westeros is a dangerous place essentially, and you like that it's unpredictable, I guess.
Yes, unpredictable. Perfect.
Sansa, Westeros is unpredictable. Fight your wars in every mind. I don't know. No, I can't do it. But it was an absolute pleasure having you on, Logan. Had a lot of fun on this chat. You want to kind of tell everyone what you're all about, where they can find you?
Oh man, all my links I guess will be in the description below. Shout out to Kyle for having me on here. I gotta say though, what is your favorite thing about Game of Thrones? We gotta throw it back at you real quick.
You know, actually, my favorite thing is that I've been able to connect with people like you and Gemma and everyone in the chat. You know, now that I get to travel around, I know I'm a softie.
He's one upping me, man. All right, minus that.
Cheers.
Show and books. Favorite thing.
I mean, actual story. You know,
yeah. That was a great answer.
But I mean that specifically is my favorite thing. But the actual answer is you know, the battle with the human heart. You know, there's people that deal with depression. There's people that lose their whole family. There's all. I mean, there's people that have it all and then they're not happy. You know, there's all of the. You can connect with. I mean, I connect with Sandor. I just love Sandor. But part of me. There's so many different people that you can connect with and be like, yeah, damn, that kind of sucks. Or I agree with them. But then they show you the perspectives of the other side. And it's like, okay, I kind of understand why they're doing things. Whether they're influenced by their father or, you know, they have their own ambitions. That's why I love Game of Thrones. The fact that we get the ice and fire, both sides of the conflict. And that to me is so interesting because often we have stories where it's so linear. It's like, okay, you're only getting the hero's journey of one character. I mean, we're getting these journeys of this many different characters, you know, and that's what I love about it. But the community is the funnest thing. Being able to discuss and being not being trolled in the chat by all of these people is
that's very true. You can connect with characters in the show, and then you can connect with outside people talking about the show. I like it.
Like I didn't even know Lycan Studios, and I just popped in one of his videos. I'm like, oh man, I like this. So I just said, hey, and that's how we kind of got to connect. But thanks everyone for watching. If you do want to connect to Lycan Studios, at Lycan Studios HD on Twitter, I believe.
Yep, that's me.
And Lycan Studios on YouTube. Go subscribe to his channel. Of course, he also has Patreon if you do want to help him out and help him grow his channel. Of course, if you do want to support me, I'm going to Worldcon and DragonCon. The GoFundMe is in the description of this video and Patreon. We got some new rewards for patron nights of the channel. I've revamped Patreon to have more rewards and all that. So thank you to all of you. And of course, if you do want to reach out to me, you have anything, you have any questions about what we didn't get into this video, you have questions on the podcast tomorrow, or you do want to kind of just chat about Thrones, Twitter, Facebook, all that, Patreon, description of this video. We thank you guys for joining us today. You want to do the outro? You want to say hype and love and then we're going to sign off? I don't know. I usually do it, but I think it'd be cool if you did it.
All right, guys. Hype and love in the comments. Make sure to smash that thumbs up button too if you would like us to do more of these. Kind of changed up the outro a little bit, but hype and love. Hype and love.